one of the things that we have been hearing on the doors and from the campaigns that not everyone may be aware of is we're having to already do a lot of ballot curing. A lot of people are getting mail-in ballots, and things have been changed since last year. So the good news is you don't have to have a witness signature. The bad news is you have to have a bunch of other things that people are missing. So I'm going to give us you guys the rundown on what is needed. So if you are having conversations with folks who are planning to vote by mail, they know that they need to check these boxes before they put that ballot back in the mail or drop it off. So the first one is they need to sign it. They always have to have a voter signature. The second is it needs to have their year of birth on it. They want to make sure that that is listed. Third, which is new, they need to have the last 4 digits of their social security number on the envelope. And then fourth, they need the date, right? So there's extra information. All of this needs to go on envelope B. And if it's not properly filled out, then the vote doesn't count. And so please, please, please make sure that anyone you're talking to, and they say, oh, I'm planning to vote by mail, let them know there's new information that's needed and they need to double and triple check before they submit it. Secondly, if you want to help, we already have ballot cure phone banks running because we want to make sure that all of these votes count, especially those that are coming from Democrats. So if you have some free time and you can jump on a phone bank to help talk to voters about curing their ballots, we need to start soon, right? We want to make sure we're getting anybody who's already submitted their ballot to cure that ballot ASAP, because as we know, on election day or closer to election day, we're going to have a deluge of ballots that need to be cured. So we want to get ahead of the game. The other thing that I want to highlight, of course, is our campaigns that need help. And if you were on this program last week, it's the same campaigns. So the good news is it's not a huge surprise. We've got just some key campaigns that either don't have natural groups of volunteers in their area, so they're a little behind on some of the things like knocking on doors, or they just got started a little late. Sometimes it's hard to find a good campaign manager or a good field director, and these campaigns are just a little behind the ball on getting rolling on some of those areas. So they just need a little bit more of our help. I'm going to put in the chat ways that you can get involved in these campaigns. One is Kimberly Pope Adams. Another is Nadarius Clark, and the third in the House is Karen Jenkins. Those are some of the most critical ones who could use some extra support getting in front of voters. And then on the Senate side, it's Monty Mason and Clint Jenkins. So I'll have those links in the chat. Some of the opportunities are canvases, but some are phone banks. So depending upon your availability, check in. Also, you can go to Mobilize and put in the name of the candidate to see what opportunities they have coming up for you to get engaged. But of course, as you know, I always like to push canvassing, and canvassing is critical right now. We have got to make sure that Democrats know that there's an election this year, that they know who is on their ballot. And it's a really great time to have conversations about those local races as well, which I know you're going to hear from some of those folks today, because they are not identified as Democrat or Republican on the ballot. So it's our opportunity to make sure voters know everybody up and down the ballot who they have the opportunity to vote for. So I'm going to put in the chat links to canvass for Monty Mason this coming weekend, as well as for Russet Perry, another critical Senate race. And then there's also an opportunity to canvass for Josh Cole this Sunday. And then next weekend, Astaire will put in some additional information here, but Network Nova is going to be doing a canvass on Friday, October 20th for Trish White Boyd, which is super exciting. She's running for Senate, and it looks like she has a much better chance to flip that seat than we originally thought. So it would be a great opportunity to go and talk to some voters who probably don't frequently get to talk to people at the doors. And then that Saturday, October 21st, Network Nova is hosting a canvass for Lily Franklin. So again, a great opportunity to get involved in a place that we don't always have a lot of people knocking on Democratic doors. I'm also going to put some opportunities for phone banking. So Kimberly Pope Adams has a phone bank coming up on Tuesday. On Friday, we have ongoing phone banks to build Democrat strength in rural Virginia with the rural ground game. So it's always nice to have that opportunity to talk to folks who don't have these conversations every day. And then there's another phone bank that is on every Sunday evening. So an opportunity when you have time to jump on and make sure voters know what's happening in this upcoming election. Finally, I'll put in some information about writing to donors if that's something that is important for you and you would like to do that kind of writing. And then finally, I will put in some opportunities for donations. As you know, we're getting down to the wire and we are going to need to make sure that our candidates are on TV, are on radio, really are getting their names out there in whatever ways possible so that voters know who to support during the elections. I will also note that I just got a text message from Barbara Favola, which is why I'm dinging over here. And I was asking her, well, who from your perspective on the Senate side most needs help? And Barbara says the folks that she thinks most need help are Monty Mason, Clint Jenkins, and Joel Griffith. Joel Griffith is in the same area as Josh Cole. So for anyone going down to canvass for Josh Cole, you will also hopefully be hitting doors for Joel Griffith. So please, those are those three top Senate seats. And as we know, the Senate brick wall is so critical for us being successful in holding back problematic legislation that is coming out of the governor's office. So we want to make sure that we're holding the Senate absolutely. And those are going to be the three key races. So that's what I got for you, Fanal.
Thank you, Luisa. That was quite a lot. My hope is that people have their pens and paper, and whether it's electronic, but you're taking notes on where you can take action. Because we hear a lot about Republicans and Glenn Youngkin dropping money in, but money isn't nearly as powerful as our action. So that's why we have to get out there and knock doors, make phone calls. We can make the difference. We're way more valuable than $1 right now.
Absolutely. And I think that that's something that we always want to remind folks. Democrats win on the doors. Democrats don't win on news media. Yes, it's important that we're there. We can't not be present, but where we have the strongest impact is in field and talking to folks, whether it's an actual canvas or going to events where people show up to let them know, whether it's a farmer's market, whether it's a fall festival, for example. So we really just need to make sure that we are reminding everyone we know that it's election season, and now is the time to be voting. And we're getting very close to early voting too for now.
Yeah, we are, Luisa. And you mentioned rural, and I want to just bring up rural ground game for just a minute. They're supporting more than 30 candidates right now. And so next week, starting October 14th, they're going to have a week in action, which means that folks on this phone call, it doesn't matter where you're from, can volunteer, you can canvass. If you're from anywhere, you can dial. So there's so many things you'll be able to participate in. I want people to pay attention to the chat and all the information that's in there. Why rural ground game is so important is because they're supporting candidates. Some of them are going to win, and some of them are going to make progress, and some of them are going to set the stage where the win is just because you turned out more voters. And that is critical when it comes to our 2024 election. So there is something for everyone to do. And we just need everyone on this phone call today to figure out how you take action to be more important than $1.
Absolutely. And just for those of you who want to get more in the weeds, want to talk a little bit more about the strategy, we have a Virginia Grassroots Coalition meeting this Sunday at 6 p.m. I'll put information into the chat. If you want to join us, please just email me. I'll make sure you get the Zoom link if you're not already receiving all my emails anyway. And during that meeting, we'll talk primarily about the elections, but we are also starting to prepare for the legislative session. So if you have a particular issue that you are working on and legislation that you are hoping to advocate for, please make sure that you come to our meeting so that we can make sure that we can strategize together on some of that legislative advocacy.
That's fantastic. And Luisa, the final thing that I'll add as a tease, October 24th, we're working on women talking to women. And our goal is to touch 100,000 women that evening to talk about how important it is for them to get out to vote and what it means to them. And so anyone around the country can participate in that history making activity. So you know what? We're gonna win this thing, and it's gonna be because we're gonna save ourselves. So thank you, Luisa.
Absolutely. Thanks, Fanal. And thank you all for all of the work you're doing to talk to voters in whatever way possible. We really appreciate it.